Thank you, last but not least. And I'm really happy to present my experiences, to see new faces and students in this presentation. I hope you will also find interesting these experiences from Poland. And to introduce myself, I am a cultural anthropologist as my first background, but then my PhD was in the heritage management. So for many years I was also working in a design center, now at the Université, WSB University in Poland, which is a private one, and in the field of management and business. So as much as possible I try to link areas, people, situations. I really believe that our interdisciplinarity is a key and the best tool for nowadays challenges. That's why I also believe in design. And with this, I will start showing you the nice picture of a city, which is called Cieszyn. You may try to pronounce it if you wish. This is a little small town at the Polish-Czech border. And I want to give you some context, because as I am also, I think, in a very interdisciplinary, also this case will be, and will let me share two perspectives. One of them will be a kind of research perspective, as I work at the university and I do my research about this. But at the same time, I am a practitioner, and I was involved in the process that I want to show you today, to present today, as a part of a design team. So this is also good from the research perspective, because we can be inside the process, we can observe it, and being also an anthropologist, of course, my favorite ones are those qualitative ones. Conducting observations is something that I really like the most. So it will also let you have some observations about the context and the city where we work. I'm presenting this picture because it's a nice picture of a small city and not really very innovative one. And what is the advantage is the fact that we are on the border. So it means maybe in the city we are just more open for some new trends and newcomers coming because of the border. And the other good thing about this is that we have mountains. Like 30 kilometers from the city, there's the mountain range called Beskid Mountains. I moved there also from the big city, so I live there in the mountains. And we still have some craftsmen alive there. This is not as good as in Latvia, and unfortunately, but still some people who have those competences, skills, and they are really they are significant in their neighborhood. But of course, we know that based on the heritage, we can create a tourist offer, we can create some events, some festivals, and maybe create a culinary route. This is quite obvious. We all do that, also in the small cities, in the big cities, in the regions, in the countries. But it is really important in taking into account craft as a part of intangible cultural heritage, is that it has its role in bonding the identities of local communities and individuals. And this is something which is really important for our thinking about heritage and crafts. And the good part about Cieszyn is also the fact that even though it's small and maybe not very innovative, people there had a kind of courage to establish a design center. And it was the first Polish regional design center. It started in 2005. And this is the beautiful pink reindeer, very kitsch and very plastic. But it became a kind of symbol of this regional design center because it has its name, and it's the name of the project because it was designed by designers, and I don't really know how to translate it into English in a perfect way, but it means that this reindeer makes you feel happy when you are in a public space. So everybody looking at this reindeer just smiles. And this is something that we think about design, that it is a kind of tool. It's a kind of answer, an intelligent, creative solution to changing human needs. So even though if you don't really know what design is, it should work. It should work and it should apply to our changing needs, because we are human people. We change a lot. We like changes, but at the same time, our global world is a moment of constant change. So this definition by Pete Kercher is one of our favorite ones, and to also let you understand our approach better, I'm presenting this because we treat design as a kind of tool which is among innovations, of course, an innovative way of thinking, but also tradition and entrepreneurship. So design is a kind of tool, it is a path, it is not the goal by itself. And thanks to this kind of approach, we started really broad observations and cooperations in our design center. And what we observed is that we have this kind of resource, which is a local heritage, local craft, and at the same time there is a huge interest among young people and designers to meet older people, to meet real craftsmen, to meet people who have different kind of knowledge. And this meeting has the value itself. And this gave us a basis to think about what we can do being in a design center and knowing that design is a kind of tool that we can also design services. What we can do about this educational process, about the meeting of those two words like designers and craftsmen. And we know there are plenty of research, and the literature is really well known, which takes care about the service design processes, and it shows how we should design services. But we have observed that there is no depth analysis of the process of designing educational service focused on teaching crafts and its impact both on crafts and on participants' career. So this is now my face of the researcher who says that this was a nice research gap for me as well, to think about the case and how should I analyze this. So being so aware and being a design center, we decided to create a craft school in Etienne Craft School. What you can see here is the web page of this in Polish, of course. It's still being built, it's still in the process, and you just try to look for this in internet, you will find, but it's not unfortunately translated into English. Still, we decided to do it. But having this today, I would like to present you both things, which is the model, how we created, using service design, craft school, and at the same time, how we now can observe the results of this, what is the impact. And these are the research questions that I was asking myself as a researcher. To what extent understanding of and the respect for the cultural heritage of the region becomes important in the service design process based on crafts? How participation in Etienne Craft School has affected the school representatives, and how their understanding of the value of crafts has changed, which is a really nice question. And it's not easy to answer in one research. It needs to be repeated and observed. And finally, how service design, having specific tools and defining the forms of cooperation with stakeholders in a structured way, can support intangible cultural heritage management processes. Excuse me. So the questions are quite open. and a lot of them. Two of my theses are that service design process conducted in the area of crafts education has a positive impact on the preservation and development of that element of intangible cultural heritage. And the other one is that in the case of Tuition Craft School, the goal of establishing new effective model of teaching crafts and engaging so-called new artisans in the transmission, preservation, protection of crafts was constantly present. My research was qualitative one, and it's still in the process, as I said. So I have new interviews coming, I have new observations, but here I would like to show you the results of my first part of research, which was like 15 respondents, and these were the people who were actively involved in the process of creating the school in the service design, with the service design method, and also its participants. And just to be specific, I need to introduce you some definitions, but they will be very short. I will make it short. So, as I understand service design, it is the process of creating and improving services so that they meet the expectations and needs of the recipients. And this is the stick tone, of course. I believe that some of you may know him. And what we really need is a holistic approach based on the cooperation. And we need, of course, to take into account the experiences and expectations of the recipients. This is all based in the perspective of the cultural heritage management, and I also understand this cultural management, cultural heritage management, as a kind of looking for the right answers, how we should use our heritage at the moment. How should we use it in that context that it suits our recipients in the best way? So we had a lot of research presented here about this as well, and I'm really so grateful that Marlene had today this global view, global perspective about how we really need and understand heritage in Europe. And now we are coming top down and presenting this, how we understand the management of cultural heritage in the regions, in the small activities. And after Ashwood, I would repeat that for me, heritage is not the same as the monument, and here is the distinction. And when we think about the monuments, they are, the purpose is to preserve them. We have internal criteria of selection, what is monument, what is not, and it is usually determined by experts. When we think about heritage, we say contemporary use, we say external criteria of selection, we have unlimited resources, and we determine it by users. So this is completely another perspective, which is really significant, I believe, for our discussion about heritage and craft. At the same time, of course, we have trends, global trends. And also, in our research, it was presented in your presentations yesterday, the day before, that we all are in a world of constant change, we know. But those trends are so important for craft at the moment and for designers that it is good to see that and understand. The return to manual work, sustainability, which was so also clear in Marlene's presentation in the policy that we all need in Europe. But we also have this need to be rooted, to have our identity, to understand where we are, to feel better, because this is kind of reaction to globalization processes. And we also desire to create unique products and services. And at the end, we have some kind of fascination of the creative sector with craftsmanship. And we can observe it very well in Poland, but I believe all over Europe, and not only Europe. Presentation from Morocco has also shown us how fascinated we are with what you are doing there. At the same time, the changes make us look for the real experience. This is not only about product, this is about people, and what we really want, thinking about craft It's not only products, but this is the meeting, the exploring, how other people think, what is their world, what is their perspective. And this is the picture from Homophobia Biennale, which will be held this year as well in Venice, you know, in September. Absolutely beautiful event, you know that. I had a chance to be once, maybe this year, but this really makes you feel that this is absolutely beautiful world, but what it makes so beautiful is meeting with people. So of course this is the mastery of the products, but as well this kind of enthusiasm that people have about work made by hands. And the other interesting thing that I would like to put in the context here of my presentation is what's going on with this heritage that we, from one side, we really appreciate. We think it's important, we need people, we talk to them. But at the same time we think, do I really need it? This is a very traditional pattern of the lace that we make in Poland, in the Beskid Mountains nearby where I live. And as you can see, it's beautiful, it's absolutely, this is a mastery work. Women spend a lot of time making this, creating this. And of course it costs some money, but at the end I think, what do I do with this? Should I put it on my TV, on the shelf? And this is the problem. And this is why I'm also showing you this perspective of looking at the heritage as something that really needs to be very close to the user's needs. And also the marketing issue of crafts is so important now, because my next slide will present this product. I believe you know what is this. And this was a beautiful story in Poland, really. It's now in the literature as the case of how should we discuss the problems of heritage. Because, of course, the women who are very traditional in making laces, they were absolutely shocked. What happened? This is kind of really disaster for their way of thinking about their heritage. But at the same time, it made laces popular all over, of course, Poland and not only. It created so many new companies and well, ladies who create those things at home and they sell it. And what is interesting that after buying those things, people still want to buy the other products. So they have developed the other products, like, for example, wedding dresses, beautiful blouses. So they have created absolutely new brand, which is Koniaków laces, and very well known in Poland, significant one. At the same time, we have new models of creating an offer for consumers, for clients, which is based on heritage, based on craft. I'm showing you here the pictures of three girls from one Polish association. They deal with basketry, they prepare baskets, but they have created such an interesting business model of their association that they earn good money on the basketry now. Of course, not only on selling products, but mostly on services and workshops. They are very well recognized, also recommended by Homo Faber Guide, and people come to their place to have this kind of experience again. And having this kind of things in mind, we decided to create this process and teaching model of craft school, not only as our idea, as our perfect idea, which I have in my mind, but as a kind of result of observation of all those trends, needs, and things going on with the heritage globally. And we thought that we will teach people some crafts, but it needs to be in the context of the changes in the world. we see that there is a lack of continuity in the transfer of knowledge, so we really need also to find those old masters who have nobody to transfer their knowledge to. And we need to think about shrinking resources, and of course we need to make it attractive for young generations. And it was one of the most important aims, but not only, because I will soon show you that this is not only for the young people. But we need also to remember about the United Nations 70 goals of sustainable development, and this is really nice also to present craft in this case and perspective, that it really is kind of living heritage, intangible cultural heritage. It can support achieving those goals, and each of those you will find the role of craft, which is also interesting, of course, from the point of view of European policy, but also when you think about regions, about small cities, about like Cierzyn, we also need to think about how to implement and how to solve the global problems according to the sustainable development. And the other thing is that we start to earn money on the craft, which is a good information for all of us. That this is not only the big ideas, how to solve the global problems, and this is not only kind of mission, but this is also part of business. And these are the data from Crafts Council 2020, so well, not the fresh one, but then they have observed that between 2006 and 2020, you can see how the number of handicraft buyers increased. There were some motivations behind: concern for the ethics of product manufacturing, a desire to support local businesses, use of local materials, desire for direct contact with the creator, so this experience. But I want to add that during the COVID pandemic, there was much more good things happening about selling crafts products, because people were stuck at homes. They didn't spend money for other things. They wanted to buy things that are lasting for years, and that they would also look nice on Zoom when you have it behind you. So there are very different motivations to buy crafts products and services, and it's good to know that we can earn money on that. And also some other cases of business development and some businesses based in Poland. One is Serventa the Pescatory, the other guys, they are making knives and also selling workshops. And the other one is the kind of platform for different craftsmen who sell different workshops. And people buy it also for the gifts and to have some experience. So, coming back to our craft school in Cierzyn, we had this kind of assumptions that we need to treat intangible heritage and craft as a resource that is open and subject to creative change. We'll create products and services that meet the needs of contemporary audiences, and teaching traditional craft techniques must to be supported with business model. And we want people to establish new heritage-based businesses. We want them to be strong on the market. Not only kind of mission, not only of transmission of the heritage, which is of course very important, not only something that would allow people to think about this as a model for the life. This is what I want to do because somebody will buy it. And the whole process of creating our service was, of course, based on design thinking model. I believe you know it, model by Design Council, where we have 4 stages. And first we discover what is the global context, the perspective, the broad perspective, then we define, then we develop the ideas, and finally deliver them. And also to be here very precise about service design processes. As designers will know, of course, them, but to those who are not familiar with, I will present this slide. There are some features of service design processes where we want to design them really in a proper way. They need to be human-centered, collaborative, iterative, sequential, real, and holistic. And this is what we took into account while creating our school. So those stages were like that: carrying out an inventory of local intangible cultural heritage resources, including, of course, crafts, studying the needs of the stakeholders and future users of our service, selecting the local crafts to be included in the educational service, developing the service, building a competence profile of the teaching staff, developing the school structures and operating model, and finally, also indicating the school equipment. So all those stages we knew we need to develop, but we didn't say, okay, this is what I will do. We have decided to make final decisions about this after service design process. And according to Double Diamond process, we had the stage called Discover, and we started with establishing a design team. And this was very interdisciplinary. This was a holistic approach. And this was as broad as possible, because we took to the design team people who are anthropologists, who are craftsmen, who are service designers, who are decision makers, and who are the end users. And having this team, we created the service. First of all, of course, looking for benchmarks, best practices, but then also having some kind of research. These were the survey, online survey, and also consultations and workshops with end users, with experts, with local authorities, with people at the universities who take care about heritage. So quite broad, and it took us a few months to work on that. In the final stage, we also decided to conduct workshops with design team members to have it really well discussed, to be sure about our results, to be sure what kind of design challenge we want to have, what kind of service for the school we really design. And it helped us prepare the framework for the operation of the school, and build the concept of both teaching the techniques and the craft techniques and this so-called business module. And finally developed, we have selected those design challenges, filled them with details, and used again some heuristic tools and techniques to foster the creation. And finally, when we had the model, we started to test it. And at the end, in our delivery phase, we have had the final process of school organization and recruitment. We had the final report with the whole service which was planned, and we had the communication strategy, design of visual identity, and final curriculum of teaching developed. So the organization is like that. Of course we had money, and I need to present it, because this was nice to get some money from European, from the Norwegian financial mechanism in this case. But we decided to divide this process into those two modules, as I said, the old techniques and business model. And we decided that the practical part of learning will be conducted in craftsman workshops, and the business model will be online. When we had 10 months to develop the process and to teach people as the pilot phase, and we decided that it needs to be, we need meetings every 3 weeks to meet on those in the workshops, to work on the techniques, and business classes will be like every 2 or 3 weeks online. The selected craft techniques were weaving, wood carving, cognac with lace making, the one that you could see, gunsmithing, woolen work, and bookbinding. And some of them, they are very typical for our region. Gunsmithing is a very specific one, and there is only one last master who can prepare it. And it takes him like 700 hours to prepare one gun, which is for the birds, for hunting. And we are, because of the Beskid Mountains, we have a lot of sheep, so it's woolen work. But also we have a museum of bookbinding and printing in Cieszyn, so it was also one of very important resources. And all those techniques, craft techniques, they were also tested with our end users. If they will be interested in this, because we offered much more, they have selected those. Business module was also built according to the needs of people and according to our experts also perspectives. So we decided to give people some basic ethnographical knowledge about the region, about the crafts, but we then introduced the processes of management, craft products, of implementation them on the market, what should we do with promotion of the craft, basically in social media, but not only. And what was Francesca presenting yesterday, it was also interesting, because there was also the case of promotion of crafts, and this lack of this ability among craftsmen. And we also introduced some psychology and some psychological work, knowledge, which is about teamwork, communication, self-presentation, also assertiveness, as you need to have this being on the market. And we had some coaching and consultancies. And this is something which is special, and we are really very proud of, because this is what did the job. That people could have some kind of tutors and moderators who help them check and develop their ideas of the businesses based on the crafts which they have developed during the process of being in the school. And it was one of the very important parts of teaching. We have had success, which was at the beginning, because we had like 260 applications. We could have had only 30 students, but we also decided to give the possibility for another 20 to become so-called, listeners, auditors, and they also were part of those both modules, practical one and business one. And these are the pictures from the workshops where they used to work, when they met artisans, but also their teams that they were working with. Of course, this is individual work, but at the same time, they had the chance and opportunity to meet other students, to meet other people who are so interested in crafts. And it made their experience absolutely special. Motivations of participations were like this, like personal development, professional development, learning something new, heritage preservation, spending time together with others. And this is also significant for planning this kind of educational modules in crafts, that this is not only about craft. This is also about experience, this is about money, but this is also about being with other people. This is about community. And this is probably one of the most important factors in developing crafts at the moment. Together with some therapeutical effects of crafts work, which we can also observe, especially coming back to children and telephones and connection to technology. Things made by hands give us also, give our mental health, they make it good. And okay, I will leave it. But what is so, just few important factors after. These were the motivations before becoming to our part of the school. And after, when we developed these interviews with our respondents, we believed and we have discovered that those most important factors are here, recipients of the service, so our users, that they have a sense of influence on the shape of the service being launched in the market, but what they have is new relations, even friendship, emotions, care about heritage, new ways of application, and new business concepts. So this is all about heritage management. So this is how we should treat at the moment our intangible cultural heritage, having in our minds that this is about all those factors. Business, relations, and also a will to prevent it, to preserve it, but this is also about emotions. And key findings. Service design process made it possible to obtain different concepts and to conduct a joint discussion on emerging solutions concepts. The collaboration of the team members made it possible to define the optimal model of the school. Ideas developed regarding the school's operation and education service were validated and tested, and this is a very important part of service design processes. That's why I was talking that this was a kind of pilot phase, 10 months. This was a test of our design. Now we will have another edition of the craft school, and we will make some iterations and some improvements. And we also know what is really important. What is nice here, that the craft school is the response to the need of change which we all have in our minds. So these key success factors were a combination of technical business coaching and psychological aspects, ability to consult business concepts, inclusion and diversity of participants, and this is something also that I wanted to underline here, that this was not only for young people. We had absolutely open call, and we had the members, the participants who were like about 70. We had young people who were looking for the way, for the career and how to become the member of the community. We had so different people, and it made it great that they could support each other, that could exchange the experiences, perspectives, ways of thinking. So also the fact that we had no entry exams, so everybody could come and become the participant. It was also very inclusive. That's why we didn't create something which was only for the best ones. It was for everybody who wanted to be a part of that. And the most valuable moments, these were just two things that come from the interviews. What is so interesting about crafts, that working with our hands first, we have catastrophes, because it's not easy. It takes time. It's really challenging. So there is a lot of disappointment. That's why we need time and we need support. Also, when I am talking about coaching, these were the moments where people really needed some help and support to transform frustration into success. That finally, I can do that. I have made my lace. I have made the basket. And the other valuable moment from our interviews, what people said, that discovering that the business reality is different to the imaginations. So thinking about preserving crafts, thinking about implementation of craftsmen and the work on the market, we need to remember that they are really not familiar with the business processes, and they need some support also in this area. And at the end, three most important as well from my perspective, both as a researcher and a part of the process, three most important things that I would like to share with you is that craft becomes for so-called new artisans. So these our participants, those who represent these creative crafts. This is the way to gain new relations, good emotions, and common values. Craft is about people. It integrates, gives support, gives inspiration, and also is a source of respect for the heritage in general. And reading heritage anew is one way to preserve it. Thank you very much. Thank you. You're alive.
Of course. So?
Thank you for your presentation. Does anyone have any questions? Yes.
Thank you very much. It was a very nice project. I have two questions. The first one is when you begin to work on this project, now that it is a reality, what is your biggest surprise that you didn't think about? And the second question, does the students stay in your town, and is your town change after this project? The soul of your town change?
Thank you very much for that. The first question about the surprises, I would go back to the relations, I guess, because we knew that it will be also about this community things, but we didn't expect that the relations will be that strong after these 10 months. Because those catastrophes, those disappointments, those processes of support, they really made people working in the workshops and being together friends. Yeah? They were a kind of group of support. And when we were finishing, they were crying. And it was good. They keep on going and meeting, even though there is no more course, there are no courses for them. So this is what we really weren't that aware of at the beginning. And the question about the changes in the town, this is a really good one, because we had participants from the region, and some of them were from other regions in Poland, so they were just coming and going back. And we have 3 new ideas of the businesses which should be implemented in the city, but they are not yet ready, so they are being developed. But what is also very interesting, that those who came from other regions, they get involved in the whole region as well, with its heritage, with its specific. So they were like, wow, what you have here is so beautiful. But, okay, and one more thing, that our mayor, because next Sunday we have the election of the mayors in Poland, and she has the development of craft school in her election program. So it means that it works for the city, and it becomes a kind of significant and important thing to present according to other cities, and yeah, that's it what we can observe at the moment.
Thank you so much. Well, did you manage to involve students or young craft people maybe in the building of this craft school?
Yes, it was absolutely like that. And we had those girls from Serfenta association, the one that make baskets.
Yeah.
They're really quite young, maybe not students, but they were involved in the whole process. And we had some design students working with us. And because of service design process, we also wanted to have their input. And but we had also, for example, this older man who is the last gunsmith in the city. He's like 77 years old, but was also a part of the process. So it was also transgeneration, and it was so cool. They could meet and exchange opinions, perspectives. This was good.
you for the presentation. You said you had a lot of applicants, but you only had the capacity to choose like 30 and a few auditors. How did you choose them? I know it's a very it's a problem for us as well. That's why I'm asking.
We had 2 criteria. As I said, it was inclusive, so no age and this kind of things. They didn't have to know how to make laces or something like that, but they needed to have experience in handwork. I mean, they had to present us the portfolio that, for example, they are doing anything at home and by hands. This was very important criterion because we knew that this enthusiasm in the people who haven't ever done before by hands can be very dangerous, because they will think, wow, this is great, but they will not know that after this enthusiasm there comes the hard work which needs to be done. So if somebody has shown us that he has experience in doing something by hands at home, or any institutions or whatever, we could have predicted that he won't be that, surprised with the problems according to the time and challenges of how to work by hands. And the other criteria was also kind of vision what they will do with these new skills, competences in the future. So, of course, we want to have some people who will establish new businesses. But for example, when we had this kind of motivation that somebody being like 70, but will transfer the knowledge to the other as a volunteer, as somebody who works with the community, with children, with other older people in the, that would also, it was also a criteria that he knows that he will transfer it and he will use it. This is not just a hobby, but a kind of being in the community after. But it was not easy, really.
We kind of do the same thing, and it's also difficult for us to choose.
Yeah. So, we knew this is a pilot, so having other editions will also allow to open it to the others that were not lucky enough to become members of the first edition.
Thank you for this presentation. You talk about teaching, teaching traditional, heritage and young generation. And this is my question, what will to be a selection process for teacher and ensure quality training?
Good one again, thank you very much. Yes. It's a kind of experiment, I must admit. We have chosen 6 techniques that we knew that people want, and the criteria was also about the teachers, and we knew that, for example, gunsmithing is so important as a kind of intangible heritage that we need to transfer to others, that even if we didn't know if our master, who is 77, has any teaching experience, we decided to make this experiment, just to let people meet him and him to teach others. But for example, according to the girls from the basketry from Waving, we knew they have workshops. They work with children. We knew they have experience in being teachers. So this was a kind of experiment as well, I must admit, because in fact we didn't also have good criteria set yet at the beginning. After this first edition, we know more. We know what we should develop to the people, what we should give them. And we had, for example, to change one of the masters who was not good enough, and the group told us that they are not really satisfied with his work. So during the process, we had this kind of brainstorm, what are we doing? Are we pushing this or changing the master? And fortunately, we had somebody else to that we could exchange. So this is the process. Now we know that we want people who just who are open and communicative. This is very important. Very communication skills, as you are a master, and you need to present this to the people. This is very important.
One last question.
Okay, that's true. That's
so interesting. So I would like to know something else about business model and this part of the school, because we are thinking also in entrepreneurship skills in MOSAIC, and how do you manage? Who teach this in this model? It's always online, it's everything online, or something else.
Thank you very much. This was really challenging to design it, and we also had some iterations about this, because this was new. It was new for us. And we, in that case, we knew that we need to choose people who have some experience with heritage. So even talking about psychology or business models, we knew we will go for the people who are not just working with big companies and still company, but we need somebody who has some experience with the heritage culture. And this is how we selected them. We just had an open call, and then basing on the experience and opinions, we have selected some of them. One was really brilliant, and this was the one who had consultancies, business consultancies, so people could meet and they could choose if it's online, because they are from other parts of Poland, and if they were based regionally, because this consultant was also from the region, they could meet personally and talk about this, so it was really good. And she was brilliant, really. She helped people develop the concept and the businesses in a beautiful way, because she used to work earlier in that area. But, for example, also coaching, it was also for us important. So we had a coach who had experience in working with people in the culture area. So mostly this was the experience, and one of our trainees, she was from Warsaw. She has her brand, design brand. She works with craftsmen, and we thought she will be perfect, and it didn't work because of communication again. She has a great experience. She introduces craft products into the global markets. She sells them really globally, but she was bad in communication. So this is a kind of challenge, and you need, in fact, to test those people. Because now we know that we will work with some of them, and some of them we won't.